I know I use the love plan.
I think, great. I think it's great that everyone could be here on such short notice. And Nanda, thank you for representing your neighborhood. We pulled this together very quickly. Peter really wanted to have a chance to talk directly with people about the concerns that they have, that you guys have in your neighborhood. And then Nanda's neighborhood on Timberwood Lane. As I was working to try and set this up with the one neighborhood, the other neighborhood sort of popped up with very similar concerns, and they're very nearby. So I'm guessing when we talk about the route, that's probably the same route on Huron River Drive. So I'm hoping that we can allow some time for people to sort of explain the concerns that they have, and then to hear from you guys at GFL, sort of, you know, how you're perceiving what's happening or what's happened, and hopefully a plan for how to make things go better in the future. And Nanda, given that you're time limited, would it be okay if we let Nanda go first? So Nanda, if you would like to speak about what.
One more thing, Will, I'm trying to interrupt.
Sure.
How long do we have for this meeting? So one hour meeting?
I have time. I'm not limited, but I know that other people may have time limitations.
I've got about an hour.
Okay.
It was an hour meeting. Okay, thank you.
So yeah, let's aim for an hour.
Okay.
I also am seeing that Greta has her hand raised, so so maybe Greta, you can hear me, maybe after Nanda, can we give him a chance to speak? Maybe Greta can share if you'd like to.
Sorry, I was having sound issues, but I figured it out.
Oh,
Taken
terrific.
care of.
Oh,
Thank you.
great.
All right, Nanda, would you like to go first and talk about the Timberwood Lane experience?
Sure, and thanks very much. I don't know that I officially represent the Timberwood Lane neighborhood. However, our my neighbors have suggested that they have essentially that I could speak and describe what's been happening. And what's been happening is we put out the bins, the trash and recycle bins, and it's anybody's guess as to whether they'll be collected a particular week or not. Especially on there's a slightly inclined upward lane which goes out from where there's a central mailboxes, and the trucks apparently for whatever reason decide not to come up that lane, and that happens very often, and it's not when the weather is bad necessarily. That in those cases certainly they very often will not come up, but even when the weather is perfectly fine, they just miss the pickups. And this has happened many times, enough that our neighborhood is getting fed up with this, has gotten fed up with this. You call the GFL customer service line, or this other line, more dedicated line, which was provided only recently from Will Hathaway. The whole times are ridiculous. We have work to do. You're open during work hours. Firstly, when it's not picked up on the scheduled day, we are supposed to wait till 7 p.m., at which point we are allowed to contact you. Well, at 7 p.m., your offices are closed, so you have to wait the next day. And then you hold for half hour, 45 minutes to get to speak to somebody. Somebody picks up the phone, it notes down something. Sometimes it's not even particularly polite, but that's a different matter, I guess. You don't know which provider you use. We also put in the information online on your online portal about the missed pickup, and all that is done not just by one person, by multiple people in the neighborhood. And guess what? Nothing happens, right? There's no response. There may be an automated response, I don't know, from the portal. But anyway, nothing happens. The stuff, whether it gets picked up soon after or not, is anybody's guess. This last week, the last time, the recycling was out in our lane for all of our neighbors for that lane for the whole week. And all of us pretty much had contacted GFL. Nothing. Okay, no response. Will Hathaway had also mentioned that, well, GFL will respond back. No, there was no email, no phone call, no nothing, and no pickup. And that pickup eventually happened, and we, our neighborhood, those of us in whose recycling had not been picked up, said, let's keep our fingers crossed. And I think we shouldn't have to keep our fingers crossed for a scheduled pickup. And there was nothing wrong with the weather. Okay. To the extent that some of our neighbors have now started going and putting the recycle out in a recycling place on their own. They got fed up. And I'm coming to that point myself. Our neighbors are coming to that point, as well. We think, and in the past, after multiple calls to GFL, emails and portal requests, GFL was magnanimously gave me, I think, $12 refund or some such thing. I mean, that's, it's just a little ridiculous. Okay. On work days, we are supposed to spend our time chasing after GFL for doing, what is your obligated contractual work. Your customer service is hopeless. I've run, as I mentioned to Will Hathaway, I founded and have run a company for 24 plus years. Our products and services are used globally. The reason I'm bringing this up is if we had this kind of a, approach to things, let alone 24 years, it wouldn't last 24 days. Our customer base would take us down. Okay. I don't know if you can hear the frustration and aggravation in my voice, but I'm at a point where, we have to take some action. And I don't know what I've not gone through the contract. I've recently been shown the contract between the city and GFL, but if it comes to that, I'll have to take it on, myself to go through that and carefully and see what recourse we have. I believe it's a 10-year contract. We don't get to sign 10-year contracts, especially if there's no recourse for the contractual obligations to be met. And, we've heard a number of times, all kinds of sort of remonstrances and, oh, we will do it better or something. If that, usually it's a dead silence. It's radio silence. We don't hear anything. Maybe sometime the truck comes and picks up things, and when your team feels like it, and maybe not. So we go and place the bins outside on time, and we can just hope. And then we have to go and check each time. And one of our neighbors correctly pointed out, why do that? Just go and, instead of taking it, down the driveway, we have long driveways. Just take it a few, just lug it a bit more with the cars. We have the hitches to the cars. Take it and just put it when you need at a different, location where they accept the recycling and the trash. And I'm coming to that point because it's just unacceptable. So that's my piece. That's my piece. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say thank you, Nanda. I'm glad you were able to join the meeting. Why don't we turn quickly to your neighborhood?
I think that's just a shockingly similar story.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, in my case, because my house is the very end of the spur. For the first couple of years, when we switched over to GFL, for whatever reason, I was told the trucks could not get to my driveway, so they could stop at Oni's house. So for the first few years, every day I would have to lug my trash to the Wong's, which is from my house to my neighbor's driveway. And so one day I got a hold of one of the supervisor. I said, why is that? And he said, well, the drivers, the big trucks, they don't want to, they're not able to back up to your driveway. And I told him, I said, well, when we had Monroe for the longest time, never had an issue, right? And not only that, in my case, and then I look on my bill, one day I got charged extra for curbside. So I call your line. Every time I call, I get a hold of whoever's on the phone. The first thing they say to me is, oh, did you put out the trash in time? To me, it's like so insulting because as we all know, we do it the night before.
It's all out there saying.
Yeah, because we're just hoping the next day will be picked up. So So I'm kind of very frustrated because not only like is it not getting picked up, but I'm being charged curbside.
What is the curbside?
It's like, if somebody goes to my drive and actually pick it up from the side of my, I don't know if it's called curbside, it's something else.
Door side.
Door side, that's
What's your
what,
address?
3620,
Thank you.
Door side.
yeah, door side.
I mean, your
I'm being
door
charged.
is 150 feet from your driveway.
Exactly.
And then you drag it another 150
Yeah.
feet down, so it's your 300 feet.
Yeah,
300 feet
so
away
I-
from your door.
I like that service.
Yeah, so I'm being charged curbside.
What's your street? What's your street name?
3620 West Huron, same.
So on the same, you're in the same.
Yeah, just the last house. Yeah, so, you know, I mean, I guess I understand, right? A new company, new service, new drivers. So I understand that there's gonna be challenges. But it's so far off, like,
But when you say new, they've had the contract for 3 years, right?
right.
And,
Yeah.
and the other question is like, I think it was you that mentioned, sorry for the recent problems. This isn't a recent problem, right?
No,
This has been-
no.
There have been periods of
Right.
time, maybe 6 weeks or 8 weeks where we have consistent pickups, but then we quickly go back to the
Oh, yeah,
theme of
yeah.
what, one out of every 3 pickup being missed
Yeah.
or something like that?
It's very spotty at best.
Sometimes they'll come later in the week. Our most recent miss, they came the next Monday, and Mondays are our pickup.
They
Just kind of blew us off for the week.
There was no recovery pickup at all.
There was no recovery pickup. Yeah, they just waited, and you know, it was Thanksgiving, so everybody has a ton of trash and
Oh, yeah.
and recycles.
That compounds, it makes it worse. So, I mean,
And so if
Pete,
you
when
guys
I
all,
talked to you about
you guys all introduce each other before.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, I just want to make sure I introduce Sean. Sean McCormick is our newly hired enforcement officer for Scio Township, and I asked him to join us if he could, and he can. So
I apologize, I was at another meeting, so I apologize to you.
So I'm sorry, go ahead, Sam.
no, so I was talking to Pete earlier and the recent problems, well, the recent problems because I've recently become aware of the problems. So they're recent and new to me. If they're 3 years old to you, then shame on us. These are apparently 2 troubled areas for us to service. I told you and anybody else that's listening now that I did go down your road today. I looked at it. They are challenging. Monroe's might have been able to get down there. But it's not a good way of servicing Huron River Drive. I didn't look at Timber Lane yet. I'll look at that when I leave here.
Timberwood.
Timberwood Lane, yeah. So Ron is the general manager in charge of our Arbor Hills hauling site, who has been there about 18 months now. And this work has moved from our Wayne location to our Arbor Hills site location. We've broken the yard up a little bit to do work out of a different location. So Ron answers for the service here, and clearly we're aware of the issues as we sit here today. And all the work or information he was giving us earlier, I'm hearing of those problems and the inability to get a hold of customer service or the rude customer service agent. I'm hearing of those problems, but at the end of the day, for me, if we service your trash, there's no need to make a call.
Right.
And all of these problems can be resolved. So Ron, you want to talk about what you're gonna do?
Yeah, I looked at it the other day, went there again this morning. I mean, to be honestly, this is simple garbage, customer service 101.
Yeah.
Okay, the right truck, picking it up. I will not send a big truck down there because the roads are narrow.
Sure.
It's asphalt. I don't want to create lawn jobs, the road deteriorating the size because the truck's so wide. So now that I'm responsible, I will have a truck go there, a small mini truck, mini packer is what it's called, and go there, back down and get all that stuff out of there. I mean, I don't see this being a major issue on my part now that we are aware and I'm responsible. It's just a matter of getting the right piece of equipment and getting consistent schedule, whether it be 9 o'clock in the morning, weekly, so you know that when we're there, we're there. Okay, yes, sir.
Now that you're aware, I don't understand how that's possible. Our neighborhood, for one, has been reporting multiple people for 3 years. Every time this happens, we report to Scio, we report to GFL, both with telephone calls. So I don't understand how you're just becoming aware of this problem.
Some of these go to supervisors or lead people or customer service We have a cooler system where there'll be a Q alert, which comes out in a tablet type form. It could be directed to the different person or wrong person.
You're saying that you, as the route supervisor, is not being made aware internally at GFL when we call to have a missed pickup.
The last month I've heard, I think, one issue out there on Huron River, the last month.
And what did you do about it?
It was serviced, went down, it was serviced, found out why it was missed for whatever, whatever reason. See, I don't care
How
why,
did
so,
stars get aligned that that one message got to you?
what's that?
How did that one message get to you and?
Out of all of
Yeah,
the
there's
recent-
operations managers or supervisors, there's lead people out there, they take care of it, if it doesn't get taken care of, it gets elevated, it comes to me.
But they haven't taken care
I
of it, so
just,
it hasn't been elevated.
no, it's elevated up, the last one, 2 weeks.
It's elevated because we
We-
elevated it.
Yes, there's a customer service aspect to it. I'm not sure about long wait times and whatnot. When I get something elevated to me, I get it taken care of. I'm responsible for it. I've taken it over. I understand. I went and looked at it. I don't know what in the past has happened from different yards, different divisions. It's my responsibility now.
So you're saying this is not your problem? You can't solve the problem if you're not told there's a problem?
I'm saying this
So is
problem,
this your problem then?
no, this problem will be taken care of is what I'm telling you. This is a,
But you're saying that you're not being informed of all of our missed pickup calls.
I've been informed in the last month. The last month.
Of
And I'm
one-
not sure, I know the last 2 weeks, there hasn't been a problem that I've known of.
What about the pickup this week? Nandor, who I couldn't make it this morning, his recycling was missed. Are you aware of that?
Sitting-
You called.
I'm
It's sitting
not
there,
aware-
this-
I'm
it's
not-
still sitting there this morning.
Okay, I'm not aware of that one.
So
It doesn't.
we're not buying it.
Okay,
Is that the blue recycle bin sitting at the curb?
Yeah.
yes.
So just GFL explain maybe to everybody like what your hierarchy is, so it comes into the call center. And in a perfect world, what is happening versus, I guess, where is the communication with GFL failing? That it shouldn't be getting to Ron, Ron should be pushing with his authority down below. So the call takers are getting things accomplished. And I think what the residents are upset about is that they're doing what they're supposed to do per the contract. So can you explain to the residents and myself where the failure in communication is from your call center, that it's not getting taken care of within the day?
And the online ticketing system.
Yeah,
Right,
the report.
we all report either by a phone and or the GFL online ticketing system.
Well, Ron is saying if it gets to him, he's getting handled, which is awesome. As a supervisor, that's good. But the problem is it shouldn't be getting to you, it should be getting handled right at the bottom first rung when the residents are calling the support line or whatever it is, you know, and filing that initial, hey, my garbage was missed and it's supposed to be picked up either that day or by noon or the following day. So maybe GFL, can you guys give us some kind of explanation of like what the process is when it comes in, and is it, so it comes to your call taker, then who goes from there, and then, because obviously we're missing some communication from the call taker to getting a truck back out there to get it picked up.
There's a breakdown and yeah, let's
Yeah,
have.
let me add one more thing. Okay, just a couple of more things. One is, yes, for us also, since the time GFL has started, we've been having these issues. Okay, so I'll add to our good neighbors' points that this is not a recent thing. This has been happening for years. Okay, the second thing is, frankly, I don't care what the internal structure at GFL is and who's reporting to whom. Our interest is to get the trash picked up by GFL. Our contract is not with the gentleman Ron or David or Stuart or whoever. It's with GFL. What GFL needs to do in terms of getting its work done internally, you guys figure out. You've told us to bring out the trash and the recycling at a certain time and report if it is not. We do that repeatedly. And we don't care who it is that is and what the communication system is and what things you do internally. That's your headache. That should be your headache. Okay, why are we having to look into this and deal with this? Okay, so
I'll agree with you, and I will say that this meeting puts us all on the same page now as to what the problems are with Timber Wood Lane and West Huron River Drive. The process, I will let Mary talk a little bit about the process, how she fields the complaints on the customer service end. and then I'll tell you a little bit about myself and Ron, how that should be handled from our end after that. Mary, go ahead.
So when the call comes into the call center, we do open a ticket. It's our Q alert system that it's called. That creates a missed pickup ticket that goes directly to the route supervisor's tablet in his truck. So at that point, we're kind of out of it unless we get a call back or another one opens because you've gone online because the initial ticket wasn't opened. It should be closed and handled within 24 hours, but it goes directly to the route supervisor that's out on the road to get the guys that are on his route to go retrieve it. As far as the hold time on the call center, you guys have a direct line, and I know we don't have more than a 5-minute hold time. So if you've got a long hold time, you're calling our general queue, and there is a longer hold time there. And I do apologize for that, but that's why we gave Scio Township their own line. So you have your own dedicated representatives for that. But the ticket is created when you do call, and it goes right to the guys on the road.
And if we create a ticket online,
It goes right to, it bypasses my call center.
so you two are pointing your finger at each other. You're saying he has the tickets, he's saying you don't have the
There's
tickets.
no point. We work.
I'm not
together-
pointing.
Yeah, we work together daily.
But my understanding is you're getting on any given week, you're getting dozens of tickets to your tablets about missed pickups. But you're also saying you're unaware of this problem.
I don't give the complaints on a tablet unless they get escalated. It goes directly.
That's what's happening.
The route supervisors
supervisors,
that
feedback.
that run your specific city, and they run the routes of the drivers and the lead drivers. So Ron's the general manager. It's not gonna go to him unless it gets on my radar, like your address.
We'd ask
is.
that the route supervisor be here so that we don't get this sort of like, not my problem.
Here's what, so we were letting Mary explain the system. So Mary explained what she does. She feeds the ticket or the complaint to the route manager. If the route manager fails to react to the missed collection on your road, that's where the breakdown occurs right there. That's where the breakdown occurs. Now, as an example, before Ron started and just after he started, your route manager here was failing miserably. Okay, we're in the midst of the COVID season and all those problems. He was failing miserably. We parted ways with him. Since we parted ways, you now have Bob Brandon. Bob Brandon is your route manager that's out here along with a lead man called Adam Bartel, who's also out here. So that's who he's got in place. If they're not responding and ensuring the pickup, then that's where the problem exists, somewhere between Mary, you folks, and Ron.
So do we have to come in and fix this for GFL internally?
No, sir. What I'm telling you is where the problem's at. So what I'm saying is this is a meeting that's beneficial to us to hear from the neighborhood about the breakdown in the service we're providing in Timberwood Lane and here West Huron River Drive. So we're hearing this and clearly we have a route manager problem of not following up with recovery or ensuring the service in the first place. So what we'll take from this so far is this back to the route manager, sit down and find out why this problem continues to exist.
I mean, you
That's-
guys have all the data, right? I mean, you have all of the data, right? Your trucks have GPS, right? When we miss a pickup, you don't know, how does leadership not know on a weekly basis how many people were missed pickups? Because you're saying this is new to you. This is news to you, and you're thanking us for raising this question. But the question has been raised over 3 years through all of the dozens and hundreds of phone calls and tickets we've submitted. So,
I'm not berating anybody. I'm saying we're gonna fix this problem.
but why hasn't it already been fixed?
I don't know why.
We have reported, we've done what we were supposed to do.
I can't tell you why it hasn't been fixed.
Can I ask a quick?
Yes.
Is there a checks and balance? So, Miriam, correct?
Mary.
Thank you. So your call center enters a ticket, it goes to the supervisor gets on his tablet, supervisor is supposed to redirect the truck or to send somebody to go pick up that garbage. What checks and balances is there that the supervisor did? Does supervisor then enter on the tablet that he did? And then if he is entering on the tablet that he did, but yet failing to do so, what checks and balances do you guys have then? Does
So
it go all the way up to Ron at that point? Like, so who's between the supervisor and Ron?
If a route supervisor closes a ticket stating it's recovered and it's not, obviously I'm getting a call or an email. And I go right to Ron with that, because that's unacceptable. And I mean, we shut that down the minute that happens, because he sets my call center up for failure if they do that.
Well,
If it stays open, we have a 24-hour report that the general managers would get regarding their locations, and they address those, I believe, in your morning meetings regarding the open missed pickup tickets still.
so it's. And I know you're servicing thousands of people now, I get all that. But when, I guess, when a resident then calls back the second time saying my garbage still hasn't been picked up. Internally, somebody should be looking at the log saying, well, Bob sent Joe, whoever, to go get it.
We do.
And it's not.
We do, and we address, I mean, that's a call directly to the route supervisor to get back out there and get this recovered, because the customer's telling me that you didn't take care of it. And then it's sent over to Ron because they report to Ron.
So what option do we have at that point to get it?
And some of these people, like Bob might get it and he might send it to a tablet to a lead guy or a person that's delivering carts or recycle bins or picking up damaged ones. They might get it and they might close it out. So the breakdown is either between the supervisor and the lead man or someone who's doing that. Okay, so they close them out, it gets transferred, it can get transferred to anybody. I mean, I understand the issue. That's why we're here.
Right.
On our side, we need to figure out how this is getting funneled and how it's getting closed or not closed and not getting responded to quickly enough. But at the end of the day, this is my responsibility and I'll take the beating, but I will tell you and assure you that your service will be 100% better. I'm aware of it. We'll take care of our, here's the, at the end of the day, if we don't have missed pickups, we don't have to deal with this. We shouldn't have missed pickups for the 20 or 18 houses, how many houses there are on your street and the other street. It's an issue. We gotta.
How are you gonna raise, I mean, you're saying that this has now come on your radar, even though we've been reporting and we've been told about the systems you have in place where none of these tickets are lost, et cetera. And now you're saying, you're telling us now, you're trying to convince us and have us believe that this is now over. How are you all of a sudden gonna become more aware of what's happening in your organization, where up until this point you haven't?
If you don't.
Yes, I have to leave.
Every single Monday morning, it'll be on my desk every single Monday morning. Okay, I'm not gonna come to another meeting like this. I shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to come. I shouldn't have to come. It's an issue that I will address. How I address it is on my side, GFL side. My goal is to keep you people happy, service you on a weekly basis, the way you're supposed to be serviced, with the right truck, the right people, and I'll deal with everything else. I can't look at every single issue, situation I may or may not known about. We can talk about that for days. We understand the problem. I understand it. Okay, Marion, I'll get with Marion and figure out how these are funneling. If they're not funneling the right way to the right supervisor,
Yeah.
we'll figure that out. I'm just telling you that it's at the forefront. We know this is a problem. I know it. So yes, Robbie, next Monday morning. Anybody want to take it?
So
Yes, Robbie, next Monday morning. I'll
I
be
need
on
to-
your streets. I'll be on your
So I
streets.
need to leave the meeting. I should say one thing, that we should have some sort of a recourse. We hear from you, you're saying, oh, we'll take care of it and so on, which I've, by the way, heard of a similar sort of thing from the customer service where I've had to escalate it upward again and not heard, try to talk to a supervisor. I don't know how many times I've done that. So they've said, oh, we'll take care of it. Hasn't happened. So you're telling us now we'll take care of it. Okay. If it doesn't happen, we should, as a group over here, have some sort of a recourse, and I've suggested some recourses to Will Hathaway. If he wants to bring it up, that's fine. I have to leave. Thank you all. And I
Read the contract. Read the contract. There are specific recourses in there.
You have specific recourses. Yeah. So I commiserate with our neighbors. I don't know which particular street you're on. But yeah, we face the same headaches with GFL, which, by the way, I should point out, we did have a different provider earlier. We did have a few problems, but they were not as bad, frankly, as GFL. Okay, thank you all. I'll take your leave.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
So I was given, by Scio Township, I was given Mary's number some years back. So that's the number that I call. Is that the right number to call?
You can call my number.
Okay,
Yeah,
I did pass it out in a.
To be quite honest,
Everybody has
to
it.
be honest, I would just assume have you call me. If you
Okay.
have an issue, call me.
What's your number?
734-756-8874, and that is my personal / little bit of business number. That's what I always have, no matter what.
734-756-8874.
Yes.
And what, I was
Thank
looking on our website to find the dedicated line, and I'm not seeing it right away.
I get, because Jim Odell brought up that we never get a call back when we call. I don't know how many
I have
calls
no
you get a
problem.
day.
If I punch my phone number, I hope we don't hear from you. And if things go the way.
I was
they
thinking
go,
about
I'm not gonna
Mary,
hear from you.
actually.
Can you receive text on that as well?
I can.
Yeah,
If he's not leave, who was?
it was Jim Odell,
I don't recognize that name.
It's also.
He's one of our neighbors.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I don't recognize the name, but I'm not sure that he's calling, is he calling my direct line?
Yeah,
Okay.
because like I said, I pass it out to everybody.
Oh, no, and that's fine. I'll give you cards. You can give the entire neighborhood. But I would like this taken care of so we don't go down that
I mean,
right.
a single point of contact can be me for all your neighbors, all your residents. Just give them my number. If you want my email, I provided it on there.
Yeah.
They can call me, they can text me, text were great. They can email me.
That's so
whatever.
much easier
A
than
text is so much quicker.
waiting online.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you call the long wait, and if they say expedite, your problem is being expedited, it means guaranteed no pickup. That's just how it works.
So I looked on our website, I just want to confirm the 844-464-3587, is that the dedicated line?
No, that's the general line. that I
Okay,
give
so
you.
we've got to do a better job of pushing out that number.
I'll say this, just in life in general, whether it's work, personal stuff. I noticed, even in business, communication and lack of or not having a single point of contact is a major issue. Okay, so I'm not gonna sit here and say that we're great with this and that, but we have multiple ways to contact, report complaints, whether it be Q alert, direct line, Mary's line, call time, wait time. So I'm saying that what's gonna resolve this issue is me being the single point of contact, because I don't wanna hear from you. I just don't. Okay, it is an issue. It takes a special truck. We have the truck. I'm not gonna damage stuff. I understand, I get it, and I'll be the single point of contact. It shouldn't have to go through a call period or a, queue, an alert. Don't do the online, just call me directly. Okay, so proactively, I know what's coming every Monday. So if I'm not in front of it and on top of it, shame on me. I mean, I don't wanna complain or talk about what's happened in the past, because we're not gonna resolve anything. It's not gonna be resolved. The system, call times, that's fine. If I do my job, okay, and make sure my people are doing their job, it's done, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to say, and it's up to me to do.
So you're asking these gentlemen and the residents to bypass the call center?
Yes, and this, unless you have a problem with it, call me directly. Unless, Mary, do you have a problem?
Well, I think we need to do both because
Because
otherwise there's not a paper trail.
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say, unless we have someone filling out the form on our website.
You gotta do both.
We don't have a way of.
Or not your website doesn't hold GFL accountable, but according to the contract, you guys are supposed to keep records of every call and every resolution. I think we need to keep that
Well,
paper.
the form on our website, it generates an email report that comes directly to me. And we're gonna route it also to Sean, but it also goes to Mary at GFL.
A ticket?
Yes, sir, and it becomes a call right away, with whatever the complaint is in the customer. I do have a customer service rep that handles that and calls the customer
The
direct.
benefit of that is that not only are you reporting it to GFL by using that form, you're also reporting it to the township, so we have some idea
Sure,
of.
I mean,
what's
we're reporting it
happening.
everywhere we can right now.
Yeah.
But we've been talking about a GFL, but, I want to hold Scio to account here as well, honestly. This contract came about without a vote, without any representation from the people. I know this was before your time, but we're stuck now with this contract that says, I think the way we would handle this, I think the way any customer would handle it, they beat their head, like we've all beaten our head against GFL to try to get the service we pay for. We just quit, right? We don't have that option because the township just passed an ordinance preventing us from doing so. And one thing that irks me is that there are specific penalties in the contract with Scio that should have been addressing these issues. It's $50 per occurrence for a missed pickup by 7 p.m. then it's an additional $25 every 24 hours for a missed pickup. So 3 weeks ago, the total cost of GFL for not having picked up our thing for a week would have been $2,400. Now, I've been explained by Will that you guys, in discussions with you, have chosen to not levy these fees that are part of the contract with GFL. And I personally think that's one of the reasons why there hasn't been any incentive within GFL's management hierarchy to actually deal with what has been revealed as a communication breakdown within your systems. My guess is that it would have to rise to a pretty high level in your organization to cut a check for $2,400 that's outside your systems. And if it was to rise up in your hierarchy that high, somewhere someone's ass is going to get kicked and this problem's going to be solved. So I'd like to hear from Will now about why it is that we're not assessing, and is this Sean, part of Sean's new role, is that we're going to start assessing penalties to GFL to hold them account for the contract?
Well, that has not been discussed with Sean. Sean has just come on board, and what has been discussed with Sean is his playing more of a role in trying to, help with the administration of this relationship, the service relationship with GFL. Sean's background is he's recently retired from the Pittsfield Police Department, and so he's doing this part-time now for Scio Township. The decision, such as it was, about the sanctions in the contract for service failures, we bumped up against that, I think during 2021 is when we first had a conversation about that. So the first year of the contract, and instead of going down that path of, sort of putting the township in the position of being kind of a judge, of these things. It became apparent that, to me anyway, and I think to others who were involved, that GFL was trying very hard to step up. And the service, if you look at the trend, I think we had this conversation, if you look at the trend of complaints, it's gone way down. I mean, and you would expect that after, during a transition year, especially, coming out of COVID, that with all of the supply chain issues and the workforce issues, that you would have some difficulty. I mean, any operation would have a difficulty sort of launching a new service to a lot of different customers under those circumstances. So we worked with GFL, with Sam and Mary, and Ron wasn't part of the team at that point. But we worked with them to address the complaints and try and fix the service problems rather than getting bogged down in, sort of trying to into the sort of punitive kind of, penalty kind of administration. And I think my sense is overall it produced good results. The number of complaints are way down, but there still are problems from time to time. And I think I have a better.
From time to time.
Well, I understand.
As bad as it's ever been.
Well,
And it
okay,
sounds like-
maybe the better way of putting it is, there's still some places in the township where there seemed to be a sort of a pattern of problems, kind of ongoing issues.
Right.
And
we're stuck.
And I
We're
think.
stuck not being able to change service providers. And we're
Yeah.
stuck with a township that's not enforcing the penalty provisions that are designed to strongly incent GFL to fix their internal problems.
Well,
At this point too, you're also stuck with a face-to-face meeting here with Scio Township with a commitment from the general manager that he's going to fix your problems going forward. I would say we should accept what Ron is offering to fix this problem going forward. And we're not opposed to come back in a month, 2 months, 6 months, and see if that problem's been fixed.
And you have the data, right? I mean, if we have that meeting you're suggesting, you'll have the data. You'll have tickets from our neighborhood that you can share. If there's any question about whether a pickup was missed, you have GPS data that can show whether or not a truck was someplace. You have that data, right? So if we were to have a meeting, I'm not saying we're scheduling, but let's fast forward, because I think very few of us have the confidence that the fact that you guys have already had all the information that you need to solve this problem years ago. You had a meeting in 2021 where you decided in good faith, you guys are gonna solve the problem. That's great that you believe. I'd like to see the data that establishes I understand that you believe that complaints are way down. That doesn't solve any problem for Timberwood Lane or our neighborhood where it's as bad as ever. And we're extremely frustrated that, and I point to the fact that if you guys had been paying thousands of dollars a month guarantee you this problem would have been fixed. So I understand that's your decision, I don't, but I just want to make it known that this has contributed to the problem, in my opinion, the decision to not enforce the penalties that were part of the contract.
I'll stay with what I said. Allow us to move forward, Ron to move forward and fix these problems starting Monday, the 18th. I think that's the next Monday. And going forward.
Well,
If we can fix those problems and maintain your service level where they need to be, then it will show our commitment going forward as well.
And as I
This might be a
understand,
good-
Mary, when we submit a ticket online, we're supposed to get a phone call in response?
Not a phone call, you will put in your phone number or your email and you'll select which form of communication you want to text.
But we're supposed to hear back.
Yeah.
And you
guys
do,
ever-
it's,
you do
yes,
that?
yeah, it's just a generic system generated email saying we've received your ticket. It actually doesn't have anything to do with, is it being worked on, was it received by the proper people, nothing. So
Let me just say one thing, right, wrong, or indifferent, I am not a complete IT guy. You mentioned GPS.
Yeah.
We have GPS in our trucks.
Yeah.
GPS is not that good where it can tell you that it
Okay.
picked up your trash. So part of the thing is you GPS, I'm about communication. I will have a guy drive down your street, pick it up and make sure a supervisor will drive down to make sure that everything is picked up.
Thank you.
I don't trust GPS. Maybe
Sure.
you do. It's a technology that's great, but it's not foolproof. I can have a guy go there, turn around and think, oh, we got it. And it doesn't show me they got it. You will have a pickup, drive down each one of your streets to make sure everything is picked up. Okay, so that's the commitment that I'm giving to you. So the GPS, I don't care about that. I care about getting a phone call when it's picked up from someone that I trust. I know didn't tell me he talked to someone, but he physically went down there and made sure everything was picked up. Okay, and if for some reason roads are bad, we can't get down something, whatever, I will notify the township that, hey,
Sure.
we can't get down. The roads are narrow. I'm not sure how often you plow, if it's plowed first thing in the morning.
It is, we have a contract with
Okay,
Plowing.
so that's great. On both streets, I have to go look at the other street. I'll check it out. But if I have a problem, I'd rather be proactive and let you know
That sounds great.
than have you call, send an email, send a ticket. I'll just tell you, hey, we're not gonna come down there. It's icy and some roads, are pretty nasty.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
four-wheel drive or not, but I'll be proactive, and let you know that it's not looking good, freezing rain, and we'll discuss it. If you want to give me a representative from each subdivision, that communicate directly with me, so I don't gotta call everybody, I'm fine with that. Just give me the number and let's stay in touch. And if you want to have a weekly meeting with me or a phone call, I'm available. I mean, it shouldn't have to be that way, but I'm willing to do that. So-
Is there someone there, Peter, is that you or is that?
My gut reaction, and we can talk about this on email in our neighborhood, but I think that as long as today, any of us can call Ron or text Ron when we have a missed pickup, I don't know that we need any follow-up. The follow-up is our stuff is picked up. And
Exactly.
that should be the end of it.
I'm talking proactively. Proactively, I foresee a problem. My supervisor says, hey, we can't get down there. Who do I contact to let you?
Oh, I see.
Well,
So if you're-
who do I contact?
You can contact me. That's fine. I'm happy
You
to.
can send me your
If,
information.
I can absolutely do that, Ron. I'll text
You
you.
can just email it to me so I
What
have
is your
it.
email, Ron?
It's RCARAMAGNO@GFLBNV.com. And this way I'll put you there. So if I know there's gonna be an issue, I'll let you know upfront. And then you can let.
I'll let the whole
residents-
neighborhood.
Exactly. Makes it easy to put a blast out for them.
Absolutely.
Easier.
And I'll try and find someone from Timberwood
Yeah.
Lane to serve the same.
Okay. And I know it's not their responsibility, but communication is an issue. So if I can communicate, I'd rather
Yeah.
over communicate.
Hey, 15 minutes left. Sorry, there was another topic we wanted to bring up that frankly, sort of, I think everybody in our neighborhood was sort of at sort of this level of being fed up. And I think when we learned about this, it just blew the roof off. Susan and I, we live in a part of the neighborhood where we're able to see, not everybody can see the trucks coming off, just where their houses are sitting, but we're one of the few houses that can see. And I work at home almost all the time. You work at home all the time. And I think earlier this year, we started just noticing that previously there'd always been two trucks coming up our spur. Like one would be maybe in the morning time would pick up trash recycling, and then later in the day, there'd be a trash recycling pickup. But then at some point we noticed there's only one truck coming up. And we started talking about it and noticing, so we started looking more closely, and what we discovered is that very frequently, not every weekend, you guys are combining our recycling into the trash. And all the recycling that we take the time to rinse and separate according to your standards that are published on your website about what can go in recycling and what can't. We go through all that effort just to have one truck come up and put all of our recycling into the trash.
Big truck, little truck,
Little truck.
little truck, okay, mini packer. So we have a couple different style trucks.
Please, we've spoken with drivers.
Okay.
We have videoed it. They have said they have been instructed to put both the trash and the recycling in the
If
same
you
bin.
can tell me who you talked to, who said they were instructed.
I'm
You're not gonna do that.
You will fire them.
That is,
It's not
that
the
is not-
driver.
that is not, a driver knows. I have meetings weekly, monthly, I can show you documentation.
So they're lying
They,
to us?
yes, they are told do not. I can tell you someone's been fired for it. We do not mix our trash, compost, recycle. If someone's caught doing that, it's immediate termination.
So you send 2 trucks to our neighborhood.
You should get 3. You get compost, trash, and
We
recycle.
don't have compost, so you
The-
send
the-
2 trucks
The
to
mini
our
packer,
neighborhood.
that little truck is going down there, so effective when it should have been going down there. That's supposed to go on 2 trips, one for trash, go dump it, come back and do one for recycle.
And that does
Absolutely,
happen
absolutely.
sometimes.
Absolutely.
But there are other times where one truck comes up and at some point we wonder, maybe there's 2 different compartments, right? Benefit of the doubt. But then in conversations with drivers and in actually observing with our own eyes and video, no,
So-
our recycling is being dumped.
So
into
this is,
the-
excuse me, this is where GPS, where I can look,
Yeah.
probably get a history and see how many times a truck has only went down to one truck. And then I can know which truck, which driver, what day is down there. I can't be taking both in one vehicle, but I'll know where did it go. And I can see, was there a complaint? Did someone say the recyclers left? Or if it wasn't, then I know he's doing something he shouldn't be doing. I will tell you right now, I am very big on image. They will not mix that. If they do, they will be terminated. They know it. Supervisors as well.
So Ron, that. would
I
be
have that
something-
conversation all the time.
that's
That's
something-
$500 per occurrence.
If you see that, I want to know about it immediately. That's something you need to call me. Yes.
$500 per occurrence. Every time that happens in our neighborhood, that's $6,000.
Actually, it's 500 plus about probably 85 or 90,000. Because I will lose this job immediately. I can't speak about it enough. I will not tolerate, I do not tolerate it.
Okay.
And just so you know.
Well, I'm glad you have the GPS data.
You're not the only ones that, they check the landfill, they check the recycle, they check everything. Okay, the state does. I will not accept that. I do not tolerate. Now, if I send someone a pickup truck, if it's a shitty day, excuse my French, and they put it in there, that's when it's authorized by me. It does not get put in the same truck. And if it does, I need to know about it immediately.
I don't think you've
So,
ever seen a pickup.
I'm
truck,
just,
but-
just so we're on the same page, whether you like your driver, don't, and don't want to get somebody in trouble.
These are
if they're-
different, these are different
Okay,
drivers.
but I'm saying, if they're not doing the right thing, it needs to be addressed. And I will tell
We
you right
feel for
now,
your drivers. We hear about the turnover that y'all have.
everybody knows the right thing to do. This isn't about GFL, about me, about a supervisor. Everybody knows the right thing, and my people know that if they do, if they're instructed to do the wrong thing, they come to me. Okay, they know that. They're not to be told to do the wrong
So
thing.
what they have given us really similar responses, which is, we're really short on trucks today, and it's just a one-time thing. We were told that just for today, we're supposed to put everything in the same truck. So they give like the same responses. So you're telling me that individual people are just out of
I
laziness,
can tell
coming
you
up with their
the
own.
one person that is no longer with us was doing that, and that's why he's no longer with us. And Sam had mentioned about that earlier.
I had a, actually one day I was home and then I saw this small truck go to my house. So I went out there and, nice guy, you know, and had a little conversation, I said. And I brought up this, recycling thing. And he says to me nonchalant, he goes, you know, it's all going to the same place. Okay, so from that point on, I'm like, you know, I'm not even gonna bother to put stuff away.
No.
I'm just gonna put everything together. That's why you see my pickup, it has trash and the boxes in there.
Continue to recycle. I will say this.
I didn't get the guy's name though.
Oh, you do have his name?
No, I did
Okay.
not.
There are times where I will instruct them to take that mini packer that has the hopper, they'll pick up all the trash, and then they'll go back through and dump that stuff in the hopper, keep it in the hopper and take it to a recycle truck. So it's not getting crushed, it's just, it saves us a trip. They take all the garbage, they dump it, it gets, you know.
And we're talking about days where, you know, like right where we put our trash, there's 2 households that bring it there to make it easier for you all, right? So
Yeah.
you only have to go up one spur. It's trash, recycling, all 4 dumped in the same little mini truck.
No,
And he,
No.
when I spoke with this man, he said, do you want me to not take your recycling and we can come back? I can come back for yours later? And I was like, it's not about
So.
one
Yeah,
bin.
so
This is
I'm gonna
a
throw this,
chronic issue.
I'm gonna throw this
It's so
out.
disturbing, Ron. Can you hear
No.
how, this is so disturbing?
Hold on, let me,
And $500 in
okay,
currency.
I'll talk about this.
And it's,
What-
like, that would pay.
That would pay the salary of someone who could go.
I'll do it for that.
So hold on a second. Now, don't take me the wrong way, don't get upset, but as much as we're talking about communication and breakdown and fix the problems, have you called anybody to report that?
We're doing it
What
right
does
now.
calling do?
Hold on a second.
Calling does
We wanted
nothing.
to wait
No,
until
hold on, hear me
we
out.
expected your response to be, that doesn't happen.
And it's,
And then we had to get it on video.
if you have video, when you have to communicate, and like I said,
Well,
communication.
you just now told us you have GPS, so you have every tool you need to do the investigation yourself to find out.
GPS doesn't tell me if someone is taking both. It could be.
It does too.
Be
If you look at your GPS and you don't see two different visits to our neighborhood, and you have not seen any reports of missing recycling trash, then you know that week, our trash and recycling was mixed.
Hold on, I
You have
don't
the
know,
data.
because I went by the one street, there's recycling still sitting out there.
Just the one. Just the one.
But it's one, I'm saying, I need to know, if you have it and you wanna communicate, you wanna do the right thing, you want us to do the right thing, the right proper customer service and do our job.
I want you to do the right thing without me having to tell you to do the right thing, or without me having to provide you evidence you're doing the wrong thing. You have the GPS data,
And that's,
you have the ticket system, you guys as a business have everything you need to do the right thing.
and
without-
that's what I told you, Monday, you'll see, you'll see me out there, okay? It'll be fixed. All I'm saying is, if you see a problem that's not right, see something, say something, that's all I'm asking. And I understand, yeah, you are, but you've had opportunities to see something that's either a fine or something we're doing wrong. If we're not picking it up, it's not good, we're doing
I'm
something
not
wrong.
gonna sit here and have you put this on me. You have the data, this is your job.
Hey, Ronnie,
Begging you not to blame us,
Ronnie.
right? But like, we don't wanna have to sit, I'm supposed to sit out at the end of my driveway every Monday.
I didn't say that. I'm not saying, so if you see something that's not like, you have my number now to call me.
Because
I
it
will
does
look.
nothing.
Let me
Over the
get
last
involved.
3 years, it does nothing.
Every call we've made, every ticket we've submitted, everything we put at the Scio website has resulted in nothing being done about this situation. It's hard to hear you say we should be doing more.
Not, don't take it out of context, I didn't say that. I'm just saying, GPS tells me so much. It doesn't tell me what's getting picked up, mixed up, but I'm just telling you that it's a weekly meeting where we tell them, they know that. Do not do it, do not do it. It's part of something. We have new employees, that's why. We have new employees every week, every month. No matter where across GFL, we do training every single week on that, okay? That's what we do. So if it's a problem out here, I will do my best to check it out
Thank you.
and go from it.
Let me explain a couple things. Let me reinforce a couple of things and clear up a couple of issues from my perspective. Number one, we do not direct or condone drivers to pick up recycling and trash in the same truck. Ron is right. We do have meetings and tell the drivers these are separate commodities. Your trash, your recycle, your waste are intended by contract in almost every community we service to be collected separately. Okay? When we release the trucks for the day, whether we're shorthanded, a truck or an employee or not, that does not override our direction to collect those three products separately. If somebody is collecting them together, they are breaking whatever rules we have in place. It's not accepted. It's good to know, but not accepted. Do we have somebody all hours of the operating day watching GPS to see trucks go in and out of each street? No, we don't afford that kind of time to that. Can we go back and look? Yes, many times we can go back and look. I will tell you that GFL as a corporation and as a local Michigan business, we have invested $40 million recently in an operating MRF recycle facility in Pontiac, Michigan. It's not necessarily where your stuff goes now. We have a site in Huron Township, Michigan, that takes your recycling. So GFL did not spend $40 million to systematically bless these drivers to do whatever they want with this recycling. We spend money to process it. Matter of fact, I'd be glad to take you out there and show you the facility anytime you'd like. But believe me, we're committed to operating properly, picking up recycling properly. If we're not, we'll take care of that issue. On a greater scale, I can tell you this It happens occasionally. You have a series of problems on your street. There's a challenge there. I'll go back to what I said a few minutes ago. We will fix those problems. Ron will fix those problems in your neighborhood effective Monday, the 18th and going forward. We could talk about the history of GFL here in town. There's some good and some bad. But we will fix that problem going forward.
So when I appreciate that. And I will choose to believe you because it feels better than not believing you. If I go to a restaurant and my dinner is 40 minutes late, I am often comped that dinner. I don't understand how we have not been compensated in some way for these chronic failures. Like nobody is compensated. And so I don't, that feels really bad to me that to the gentleman earlier on the call, I mean, it sounded to me like he was gonna consider looking into legal recourse because we've been chronically, there's been this failure. We don't have, as Peter said earlier, we don't have a choice. We can't fire GFL or we would have. So we now have, there's nothing we can do. We can keep calling, we can believe you that you're gonna work harder to make it get better, but like, ultimately, if Scio Township chooses not to enforce these penalties,
And we're not being reimbursed
we're not
for
being
service we're not
reimbursed. You
getting
know,
on.
if we don't pay our bill, we don't hold up our end of the deal, that's a problem. But if you don't hold up your end of the deal, we just have to sort of submit a ticket and wait and hope that things get better. That feels really bad to me.
Let me ask you this. How many service disruptions have you had in the last 6 months? Give me a number.
I mean, I don't even,
10, 20,
at least a
100?
dozen.
I don't know. When you guys have the data, you tell us.
I have data right here. I have a month of data right here.
So you could tell us, we
Okay.
literally.
I'm just
lost
asking.
track.
you,
Don't log it.
You're
It's
saying
so
a dozen, you're saying a dozen. Pete, what are you saying?
I said it done. I have no idea. We don't count it.
A dozen? Tony?
I will say, I don't know about the late pickups, but certainly on the Thanksgiving week, no pickup. Just they blew us off till the next week.
Okay.
So that's 0 pickups. And we're charged for it.
Okay, so you got a dozen. Oni says a couple.
Holiday weeks, it's
Yeah,
guaranteed.
I've kind of gotten used to it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's such a
Really?
non.
But of
Yeah,
course,
it's like,
We're supposed to be there on a Monday.
Yeah.
So how many have we had on how many disruptions have we had?
You tell
In the
us.
last 6 months, I would say 7.
Okay,
In 6 months.
7, 12. Wait,
I mean, my case is probably the worst of all my neighbors because of that situation, so I've gotten used to this whole thing. So I don't know, I just go along with you guys.
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So is our commitment to fix this going forward? And giving you a credit for the poor service you received in the last 6 months? Will that take this forward, to fix this problem? And we go on our separate ways from this day forward and make sure the service is appropriate?
Yeah, well, we're not going on our separate ways.
No,
because
I mean,
a lot
what I
of
mean,
people are not-
what I mean is you're going to your house, I'm going back to the office and we're fixing these problems. That's what I mean, I'm sorry.
What will it take to end this meeting?
Huh?
What will it take to end?
No, I'm
this
not saying that we have to end it.
meeting? This time?
I'm
Like,
saying,
How do we wrap
would that
this?
be the resolution going forward for, West Huron River Drive?
I would frame it completely differently. I think you guys should take accountability for your poor service. And I think accountability should be reimbursing us for any week when there's been a service disruption for anybody in our neighborhood.
That's what I'm asking you.
So just you tell us what the number is. You have all the data. We don't.
Okay, you'd rather we do it that way?
Well, so how do you base it? Do you base it on complaints received or,
We could do it any way we want. I'm trying to cut to the chase and get to a mutual resolution here where we move forward. I could go back and research reports like this.
Are you suggesting they give you X amount of times and that you will compensate them for that amount of times without going through your reports to verify that X amount of times?
I went through this
Right,
report.
sorry.
I went through,
I'm just asking.
I went through this report
Trying to-
last month. I see 9 complaints on West Huron River and 3 complaints on Timberwood Lane.
It looks like there's.
During what time
Brian-
period?
Can I interrupt for a second? There's someone,
30 days.
Brian,
30
I think
days.
in one of the other one of the other neighborhood, has raised his hand, so he might
Yeah.
have some numbers as well.
Can people hear me?
Yes,
Can people
yes,
hear me?
Ryan.
Okay, good. Brian Chodoroff, a resident of Timberwood Lane. I'm not on the Upper Hill area, so my trash personally has been getting picked up just fine. I'd like to just give my 2 cents worth here with a recommendation for any customer, any homeowner, property owner whose trash isn't getting picked up. If I'm hearing the right thing, we're supposed to fill out a form on the Scio website and submit that. And I looked at the form and there's a place for a email response. It's my understanding that this will be forwarded to GFL, but I'm going to ask that that Scio take action on each and every ticket that's submitted with a personal response to the submitter to tell us that Scio is indeed following up on this. And I'd also suggest that the penalties that are part of our contract are requested or initiated as of today's meeting. I appreciate the assurances that we're receiving from you GFL folks, and I am confident, absolutely confident that you're going to follow through with this. And so with that confidence, I don't think that there's any issues with initiating the penalties, because there won't be any. Now, obviously, there have to be considerations for terrible weather and things of that sort, you know, where roads not plowed. I'm not suggesting that we, as a township, initiate penalties for those instances, but let's just start the penalties now. Assume that things are going to get better. And if they get better, then the penalties aren't an issue for GFL. If they don't get better, then it's a nice, gentle reminder that things aren't getting better. But again, from a Scio resident perspective, and this is to Scio, a request that we as residents not be required to call Ron. That those calls will be initiated by Scio. You're the folks that have the contract with GFL. I don't think we should be required to start getting on the phone and making requests personally. The process should be very straightforward. But I do again request that anyone who submits a ticket through the website, through the Scio website, receive a response from Scio that Scio is following up on it, and that the responses continue until there's a resolution, and that we're informed that indeed a penalty has been assessed for the lack of service. I think that simplifies things for the residents. I think it clarifies the chain of command, the chain of responsibility, and I think it indicates to GFL that indeed we're serious about this contract. The contract was, however the contract was decided and written and all that, it's sitting there. Let's use it. It's the responsibility of the township to the township residents that they do their due diligence, and part of the due diligence is to submit the penalties for bad service. And again, from this day forward, with the assumption that there will be no penalties assessed because the service will be that good. Thank you.
Brian, could you say your last name again? I didn't catch it.
Last name's Chodoroff.
Yeah, Chodoroff, CHODOROFF, 3319 Timberwood.
Thanks.
Sure. So I'm wondering how the township would respond to that request, that you be the middleman and that we not have to directly deal with GFL, because you're the ones who are going to get on the phone and call Ron and make sure that this stuff is done. And then you're the ones who are going to email back or call back each of the residents that has been submitting a ticket.
So Brian, I wanted to get your name so I could follow up with you later, but I think this is going to require some internal discussion here at Scio Township. Obviously, going down the path of imposing the sanctions that are listed in the contract requires sort of ramping up administration in order to do that. It's not, it's not just simply me or Sean or somebody getting a report of a service failure. Each service failure requires follow-up and investigation and, to impose the sanctions, especially when you get into the really big ones like either an entire neighborhood getting missed, that's a big penalty right there in the aggregate, or the individual mixing of recycling and trash, as Peter pointed out, that's $500 a pop. So to go down that path, this is partly what we bumped up against in 2021, would require of Scio Township a kind of an expansion of administration in order to oversee that. I think we need to talk about that internally. Sean's new and he has a lot of good insight in terms of enforcement. So I'd like to talk with him. I'd like to talk with the township manager and sort of think this over. Maybe we've reached a point where it's time to look at that again. But the other part of what you were saying, or another part of what you were saying, was a response to every complaint that's filed with Scio Township. And so far, the township supervisor, myself, is the person who has been handling that role for Scio Township. I don't know if that's going to be the same going forward, but I can tell you that I try to respond to every single complaint that comes in to let people know that it's been received and that it's been relayed to GFL. And part of the value of that is that I'm aware on behalf of the township what's going on. And in this, I think this is, in some ways, this is a good example when there's a pattern of complaints when they sort of reach the point where an entire neighborhood is, at the end of its rope collectively. The township has some awareness of that and some ability to respond with some information, as opposed to if it's just boiled up, and we had no prior knowledge. Before Peter contacted me to seek a meeting, I'd already been in communication with Mary saying I'd see a pattern of problems in this particular neighborhood. And so all of us were sort of starting to pay attention to it, and it just sort of escalated very quickly. But that's I think that's how it's meant to work. The forums are meant to keep both the township and GFL informed and communicating together when there's problems.
Can I make another comment?
Sure.
Here? Okay.
Sure.
So yes, I understand that for the residents to be using the township website form and expecting a response until there's a resolution or a closure of each complaint, expecting a response from the township is added work for the township. I consider that a motivation to the township, as would be a motivation to GFL for in this case of penalties, sanctions. It would be a motivation for the township to make this work better. And I will repeat that I do expect from my township government a response to my complaint, if were I to make one, or any other citizen's complaint, that's commensurate with the expectation from this contract. So I will again say that I would expect that, or I would suggest that each resident who has a complaint regarding service to use the township form and expect feedback from the township, however that needs to be staffed. Now, again, that's a motivation for the township to hold GFL's feet to the fire. I don't want added complexity as a resident to the process of getting good service. I think any complexity should be the responsibility of the township, because you're the ones who hold the contract with GFL. I don't want to have to start making phone calls or having to make repeat requests of GFL for each day that my trash isn't picked up. The township holds the contract. The township has responsibilities here. And I don't think that that as a resident, I need to consider how many man hours this is going to take on the township's part. If the township can come up with a process that helps the homeowner receive good service consistently, that's what I want to see. And I think it's up to the township internally to figure that out with their own staff, your own staff, and with your interactions with GFL. But I would rather not be the person who has to call GFL day after day after day and hope for a response.
Sure. Okay, thank you. We've got a lot of things to work on, GFL and the township, in order to respond to what we've been hearing today. But I don't know if there's a way to capture who was on the line.
That's why I'm just sending you the, yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for thinking of that.
Mhm.
I'll personally commit that, that we will talk about this, talk about what the township can do going forward, and try and get back to everybody who was either here in person or participating remotely. And
Excuse
I
me
know.
one second. I'm sorry. Brian, does Will have your email address, your contact information? You've been in touch with him.
So it's you have the spelling of my last name?
Yes, I do.
Okay, it's bchodoroff@comcast.net.
Comcast, great, thank you.
Yeah. Or through my wife, Patty Benson, P. Benson. Well, I think you know Patty.
Okay.
From Scio Township, from the safe water stuff, from the Gelman issues.
Right, yes.
Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
that name was familiar.
Yep, that's my wife.
Okay.
Sure.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to make sure.
Yep, no, thank you. I think I have, from the different emails leading up to this meeting, I have a pretty good representation of the contact information for both neighborhoods. I think we probably have reached the point where we can conclude today. I think, clearly the next, weeks are gonna be sort of putting the proof in the. So, thank you everyone for coming, and thank you those of you who are participating remotely for coming and watching and chiming in. I think it's been a good discussion, a little bit heated, but I think, civil, and everyone is able to communicate. And I hope we don't have to have another meeting. But if that's what's necessary in order to solve this, I'm sure folks would be willing to come from GFL for another meeting if we have to do it. But our hope is that we can solve the problems, the service problems in these two neighborhoods, and the township can set up a system and make some improvements to the system that we have, so that we can, handle future complaints if they exist.
Well, thank you for hosting. We are committed to fixing the problems. And if we need to circle back, we're more than happy to. I'm confident Ron can take care of these problems. And if we come back, I'll maybe hear that we've done a good job.
Yeah.
So cool. Let's see what happens. Thank you.
Sounds good, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Goodbye.
Everyone. Are you able to end the meeting?
Wait.
Hi.